Let's go. Hey everyone, I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel. If you have not already, leave a like on this video and comment down below. Also, make sure to hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a new video or go live. And in this video today, I am actually going to be giving you guys my podcast schedule. So there are two videos that I've been talking about doing for quite some time. The first one being the channel update video that I already did, and I uploaded that video up to the channel. And if you guys have not had a chance to check out my recent channel update video, I would highly recommend you guys go and check out that video, because in that video I detail all of the future plans for what I have coming up for this channel and the content that I will be covering, and all the information is in the channel update video that I previously uploaded to the channel actually. And this is the second video, which is the podcast schedule video. So the reason why I wanted to do a podcast schedule video was because, if you guys actually don't know, I've been doing podcasts for a very, very long time. And there just could be a good amount of people that don't know I do it, so they can't listen and watch because they don't even know that I do it. So I thought I'd just, sit down and just do a video and talk about both podcasts and give you guys like the podcast origins up to the point where, where can you watch the Cloud9 podcast and the Iron Man podcast actually. So for those of you who don't know, I have been podcasting for quite some time, and I actually really enjoy doing it, and I can't wait to hit my podcasting goals later on this year. But just like with the channel update video, I have things, numbered out from, numbers 1 through 5 for things that I want to cover in this video, and obviously I'm going to name the number that I'm on when I'm at that part of the video, because if you're just watching this, obviously listening on phone or your mobile device, then you can follow where I am at. So let's start at number 1, which is podcast origin. So basically, I have been watching podcasts for a very long time. I always enjoyed the format of podcasting in general. I think I was first exposed to it on this one guy's Yu-Gi-Oh! YouTube channel. He later on rebranded it to like wrestling content at that moment in time. I think it was like Four Eyes or something like that. And then before that, I had already seen like other multiple podcasts, and then later on, I would consume other podcasts actually. And I just loved long form, video content like that. And then at 2020, it was when everything was just locked down and we really couldn't do anything. I thought to myself, you know what? Let's just kind of fire up this podcast. And that's around the time that I discovered StreamYard, and that was through SSJK.Sanctum, actually. And we had the first podcast, which was The Real Takedown, and then later on, I've had various iterations of podcasts for several different niches, like I had a Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast, I had, obviously, as you guys know, one based around like sharks, actually. There have been many iterations of it, but it came down to a point where I had like the Batman podcast, Illuminati podcast, man, just so many actually. And I do thoroughly enjoy it, but there's not really like an origin here. I've just have always loved the long form content that podcasts are. And I just was like, you know what? I want one of those myself, actually. So the next thing we're going to go over is number 2, which is make sure to follow me on social media and check out the links in the description box below. So the reason why you want to follow me on social media is because if I ever make any updates, as far as like if I can't do a podcast for whatever reason, maybe I might be sick that day, or maybe, God forbid, I gain superpowers and I start going around the world and saving people. Obviously, I'm making a joke there. The reason why you want to follow me on social media is because you can get updates on that. So just say if you wanted to tune in on Rumble and watch the Tuesday's Big Showdown and you're like, wait, where's the show? Well, on social media, I would have, mostly on like X, I would have said, hey, I'm not going to have a show tonight. I'm not feeling good, or I'm just not feeling it. And then that's what would happen. That's why you have to follow me on social media, because you're going to get those updates, because there's no point in giving you guys updates on the community tab for the podcast, other than, hey, I might just actually like link the show there and tell you guys, hey, you can watch on this platform or this platform or this platform if you so choose so. All right, so number 3 is the Nightwing podcast. So that kind of gets into the territory of, if you go on to the account that is the podcasting account that I have, which is Master Swag King, Iron Man podcast, Cloud9 podcast, is that everything is in order from the Nightwing podcast. So the Nightwing podcast was the final one that I did at that moment in time on my original YouTube channel, because that was one where I just left the shows up. For the most part, when I did my original podcast, I would take the original VOD down and then edit it and then just release it. Well, I stopped doing that. And with the Nightwing podcast, I just left the VODs up. And that was with the Nightwing podcast and the Batman podcast and the Yu-Gi-Oh podcast. From that point on, from just the Nightwing podcast, I just left all of them up, actually. So on the account, you'll see all of the Nightwing podcasts, which goes from season 1, episode 1, all the way up until season 12, episode 15. And that's where that show ends off. So if you want to kind of, see me back in 2020, early 2020, 2021, 2022, and, like later parts of 2023, that's where you want to go. Actually, you can binge there and you have endless hours of content there. There's an episode that we did that was 10 hours long. So I do recommend, if you don't want to check out the newest stuff yet and you kind of want to just go binge the older content on the account, go ahead and do that, actually. And I know a lot of you guys are going to go like, do you have Spotify? Yes. Spotify or any big podcasting platform you can think of when you want to listen to your podcast, it is on those accounts, actually, for you to listen to. All right, so number 4 is the Cloud9 podcast. So this is a podcast that was inspired mostly by, the dive that the LCS does, actually, and Euphoria and Summoning Insight and shows like Face Check and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? I know a lot about League of Legends, and I want to talk about League of Legends with people that I know, actually. And this show's gone through its own fair share of variations throughout the years, and I settled on this being the name of the show because obviously I'm a huge fan of Cloud9. They were the first esport org I'd ever seen, and they were the ones that made me a huge fan of just their players at the time at the 2014 World Championship. And I was like, you know what, that's one of the orgs I'm sticking with. Later on, I have different orgs I support, but that was the first one, and obviously I want the podcast named after them. And it's just solely based around League of Legends. There will be like special episodes where if we hit like milestones, let's say if we hit like, recently we hit like 200 episodes, we did a special episode that wasn't League related. We're only going to do non-League related episodes when it is a special occasion. So like 200 episode special, a season all number hit, actually, like we hit season 10 recently, and that was a special episode we had there. And then coming up, the milestone for this show, the next ones are going to be 300 episodes. We'll have a special episode for that. And when we hit like season 15, episode 1, that would be like milestones. Like we're hitting like big numbers for the show. But where can you watch the Cloud9 podcast? Well, the Cloud9 podcast is live streamed on this channel Sundays, 5:30 PST, and Thursday, 7 PST. Now, if we do not exactly start at that time, we can either start earlier or roughly around that period. But the reason why I have these times is because it gives you like a rough estimate about when the show is actually going to start. The show is usually with Mr. Blanks, as you guys know, big black man Chaz Blanks. We do the show. We've been doing the show for quite some time. You'll see guest appearances from other people every so on and so forth, but it's mostly just with him. Actually, we have a great time with the show, and I love doing it with him. Actually, you can watch on YouTube, which just stay on this channel. You can go watch on Twitch. The link for that is in the description box below, or you can follow me on X. Now, the Cloud9 podcast, if you want to watch it on Rumble, eventually I am going to upload all of the episodes of the Cloud9 podcast to Rumble, actually. That will eventually happen. But before that, I want to make sure I get the pre-recorded content uploaded there first, and then after that, I'm going to upload all of the episodes of the Cloud9 podcast to Rumble. That way, if you just want to, watch the VOD, it'll be there for you. So you won't have to go to YouTube to watch it. You can just have it there, actually. But that's going to be a lot later on than even when this video is uploaded for you guys, because that's going to take a bit of time, because as you guys know, just uploading videos to Rumble, it's not like hard or anything. It's just with longer VODs like that, it's just going to take a little bit of time. I'm thinking about just doing like roughly about 3 episodes a day, for the rest of the year, and kind of just getting the episodes out there as, quickly as I can. Okay? So, and that's number 4. Number 5, and the last one, is the Iron Man podcast. You guys know when I talked about my other podcast earlier in the video, I had all these other shows. One-on-ones, panels, Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Illuminati or whatever it was, right? Well, the Iron Man podcast is just all of those. So let's say I have a panel show, right? And we're talking about whatever, right? That is what this show is. We talk about basically movies, television, anime, video games, streaming, real life situations like politics and stuff like that, That is, and one-on-ones are also there. Or if I want to have a dedicated Yu-Gi-Oh! Show that week, it's there. That's what the Iron Man podcast is. It's everything, actually. And if you want to watch and listen to the Iron Man podcast, you can watch it on Rumble, Twitch, and X, and you'll have to follow the links in the description box below. Now, when can you watch the Iron Man podcast? Well, the Iron Man podcast is actually a show that goes on weekly. Yes, for the most part, I do this show about 6 days a week, okay? And that's why I mentioned that there's various things I need to mention about the show so you can fully understand these things. Thursday and Sunday are swing days. So that means after I do the Cloud9 podcast, or if I do it before, or obviously somewhere in that day, actually, which is what you guys see the time there, which is 7 PST, I could either just do a game stream, or I could do one-on-ones that day. There was no actual dedicated show for the Iron Man podcast, right, on Thursday. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do on Thursday. Still, at the time of me recording this video, I have ideas for it, but I don't really know yet. But I'll announce those later on when I can get an actual, confirmed full thing for Thursday. Sunday's a swing day as well, because if Professor Savage Dad is busy, or if Chaz is a little too tired, and I'm maybe too tired after doing the Cloud9 podcast that day, then that day I could just do a game stream as well. But Sunday is mostly Sunday fun day, and if I did that with Professor Savage Dad, or if I did that with Chaz, then it would be around roughly 8 to 9 PST. Actually, it's mostly with Professor Savage Dad at the moment, but as you guys know, these things can change all the time, So, yeah, just remember, Thursday and Sundays are swing days, actually, when it comes to just the Iron Man podcast. If you don't actually see a show that day, it's not the fact that you won't see one, it's because I could do game streams that day, or I could have a show. They could go either way. Or, you know what? Maybe on Thursday, I just take the day off, which that never happens anyway, because as you guys know, I have a show on Thursday with Chaz, and that's a Cloud9 podcast, actually. All right, so the other days of the week, you can check out the shows. Monday Mayhem, the Iron Man podcast, starts around roughly 6 or 6:30 PST. Tuesday's Big Showdown starts around roughly 7:30 or 8 PST. Wednesday Top G's starts around roughly 8 or 9 PST. Friday Bangers starts around roughly 8 or 9 PST. Saturday SmackDown starts around roughly 5:30 PST. And those are the estimated times for the Iron Man podcast, actually. So hopefully this video will give you the, insight as to what the shows are, what you can expect from them, and the times and rough estimated time frames you can actually go and listen to the show. Because if you guys are just only choosing to watch it on Twitch, that's great too. If you choose to watch just on X, that's great too. If you choose to watch just on Rumble, that's fine too. I don't care where you watch it. I just want you guys to be able to listen to the show and have some fun with it. Currently, right now, at the time of me doing this video, I am currently on, well, by the time I get back from the F&T Las Vegas meetup, the Iron Man podcast will be either close to hitting 400 episodes, or it's just going to be starting at, or we're going to be a little bit after 400 episodes. The Cloud9 podcast is currently at season 11, and I hope to hit, season 12 very, very soon. And thank you guys for your continued support. Like I said before, I'm going to be working on being a lot more consistent, and even if I'm just uploading like Cloud9 podcast episodes, or if I host like the weekly Rose Gallery, that can count as an upload. For like the 3-day-a-week upload thing that I want to do. I do want to make sure I'm doing a lot more pre-recorded content as well. In that, trying to start off slow, which is like, the 3 videos a week, actually. I have so many things I want to cover for you guys, and we have so much ground that I need to make up for, and I will get to doing that very, very soon. And there is going to be some amazing content that you want to subscribe to this channel for, and you aren't going to be disappointed. Big Daddy MSK is going to be signing out because Amaranth is in the other room, and I gotta go bang that bitch's brains out. So, I'll see you guys later. Like, comment, and subscribe. Most of all, enjoy. I am MSK, Master Swag King, and I am signing out, guys. See you guys later. Deuces. Peace.